Indie Radio presents The Spotlight, Internet Radio Show, Season 14. The program that puts the spotlight on independent content creators. Each week, our hosts bring to you entertaining and thought-provoking episodes. This is your home for news about television, film, gaming, and much, much more. Join us live here every Wednesday as we bring to you interviews and biting commentary. And now, your hosts, Jen and Kente. Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of The Spotlight. I am your host, Kente, all the way live from Los Angeles, California, and I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. We have episode number 260, and it's going to be a very good one. Normally, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Jen, but she's having some car issues, so she's running late. But we're so fortunate that my co-host from the Men and Women Talk to Mars Venus show, Shannon Ford Jefferson, is joining us. How you doing, Shannon?
I'm great. Just had some tacos. Doing well.
All right. All right. I love tacos as well. And of course, as we said on our show we did Monday, it was your birthday this past weekend. So once again, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes. So thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Now, anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge hip hop fan. Always had love for hip hop going back in a long time. And anytime I can have an opportunity to talk some hip hop, it's my pleasure. And joining us today is a rapper, songwriter extraordinaire, the one and only B. Holmes. How you doing, B. Holmes?
I'm doing good, boss. I can't complain, man, at all.
All right, man. So I'm so glad that you're here. And in keeping in the tradition of our show, we always love to do is we always want to, if it's the first time somebody's on our show, we like to start off with an origin story. So tell us, where are you from originally? Where were you born?
I'm from DeRidder, Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana. Born and raised in Louisiana by way of Baton Rouge for college. So I'm from that area, the Boot.
All right, Louisiana. That's right. So tell us what it was like growing up in Louisiana. I spent some time in New Orleans. And I know many people that are from there. But what was it like for you growing up there?
It's crazy. Louisiana has different origins, whether it's the northern part, the area where we're from, as well as like the Baton Rouge, Lafayette area in New Orleans. Where we're from, it's kind of a small town type of environment. I say in some aspects equal opportunity, but yet still, a little bit of racism. But I say it's a decent area to grow up in, compared to the other areas as far as the other influences and things that were around. Gave you an opportunity to be yourself if you chose to do that. So I can't complain at all. It's rough in certain aspects, but in turn, it makes you who you are.
I'm from Los Angeles, so I'm used to the big city lifestyle. But what is it like being from such a small town? Is it what us people from Los Angeles think of? Is it porch swings and sweet tea on deck? What is it like?
I mean, in certain aspects, yeah, those I guess descriptions are correct. There are a lot of porch swings. There's definitely a lot of good sweet tea. I'd probably say some of the best in the world.
In the world?
Yeah, in the world. In the world. And the irony is it's kind of like, I guess you would say, neighborhoods in the Los Angeles area. It's like everybody knows everybody except for it's the whole town, so it's one of those type environments. You do something on one side of town, they probably will tell your mom or something like that. So it's good food, the best food, in Louisiana, I feel like, personally. So it's all of those things together, and the Southern hospitality, It gives you that comfort, that I don't think that you can get really anywhere else, if I had to say so myself.
Well, he said so.
Yeah. One thing that's so great about Louisiana is that so many great musical talent has come from there. And it has like a rich music history. And when you're there, growing up there, do you feel those vibes? Do you feel the ghost or the presence of the musical greats, or is that something that as you got older you were able to appreciate?
Actually, it's a mixture of both. I came up in the era where like Master P and you know the No Limit movement came together, the Cash Money movement came together, as well as Boosie and Webby. So we actually got to see people who look like us from where we're from on TV, which was a big change of culture because we learned about jazz history and things like that, but that was generations before us. So we knew about that history, but to be able to see it firsthand and touch it, I think that kind of changed the whole aspect, and perspective of my generation in Louisiana.
Some of us we're fortunate that we know what we want in life at a very young age. Was that with you, or did you find out later in life what you wanted to do?
I always knew what I wanted to do, but when it comes to parents, they give a little guidance, and in turn, I got off track for a second. But I probably knew what I wanted to do around the age of like 11, 12, somewhere around there. It kind of hit me, so
When
it's grown.
when I was coming up, we used to beat on the lunchroom tables and freestyling. Most of us sucked, but we thought we were great though. So was that you doing and stuff?
Definitely. I grew up a drummer, so a lot of times guys would get me to start the beat at the lunch table, or whether we were on the school bus for a basketball trip or something. And the freestyle culture is big where we're from because we grew up listening to Houston music, DJ Screw and those guys, and they were freestyling. So if you couldn't freestyle, girls and boys freestyle. If you couldn't freestyle, it was kind of like, people were looking at you crazy. So definitely part of the culture.
Yeah, like back when I was coming up, like battles were freestyle off the head, and
Right.
now it's kind of it's more like written's cool, right? But I like that freestyle off the head, because you can always tell the difference, right?
Right.
Seems like that's kind of lost a little bit. Or maybe it's just the mainstream. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like that same kind of culture is around. I mean, or maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I've known certain guys who were able to do it. I think more so due to the pressure of perfection and people afraid of letting music be art instead of this perfect picture. It kind of drowned that aspect of it out. Like when guys go on their, radio stations and they rap, and it's like, oh, he gave us the greatest verse ever, but you can tell it was written, So yeah, I fully see what you're saying, but that pressure, man, people don't want to look as though they fell off in an opportunity where they're being creative.
Yeah, it's like people who are in the NBA are afraid to try to get blocked shots because they don't want to get dunked on. It's like you're gonna be a good shot blocker, you're gonna get dunked on. Every once in a while. It's
Right.
the nature of the beat. So some of your free
100%.
great, some are gonna be so it's all good.
Right.
Who was some of your, besides the No Limits and whatnot? Who are some of your biggest musical influences when it comes to hip hop?
Really, I say it started out with like I said, the Houston movement with Chamillionaire. I don't know if y'all from the Chamillionaire, guys like that, Slim Thug. We grew up listening to them heavy, Charlie Boy, people like that, and then it kind of shifted to Kanye and Jay-Z as I got older, and I had the opportunity to really sit down and like listen. Kanye made me want to make beats. Like I actually prayed to make beats like Kanye. So in turn, that was one of my major influences as well. Him and Timberland and Swiss Beats.
Remember, Chamillionaire was that Riding Dirty was the big joint, and it was so funny. There was something happened in my neighborhood, and two cops were going, door to door, asking, if anybody seen anything, right? And it was like a older white guy. He was probably in his late 50s, early 60s, possibly, and a young brother, right? And so they're asking me, like, did you see anything, whatever? And so all of a sudden, the ringtone went off, and it was Riding Dirty. So I'm looking at the brother like, oh, okay. It was the old white cop.
The irony. It's crazy how that song really took off. And that's what he had said. I remember in an interview one time he was saying you wouldn't believe the people who actually love the song. So I could definitely see that.
Yeah, it was funny. The young brother, he's like, I don't even listen to hip hop. I listen to like alternative music. You know, like he's like, man, I love Chameleon. It was so the vibe just changed. You know,
Can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
so yeah, man. So yeah, let's talk. You know, we're gonna go real deep into your music and what you're producing. But being that you're from the South, what do you think about the South's legacy when it comes to hip hop? Because, you know, when I was coming up, you know, it was all about the East Coast, and then it was the West Coast, and then
Right.
all of a sudden you had the Ghetto Boys, and you know, eventually Outkast, and now they just kind of they dominate. So, what do you just think about the rise of the South when it comes to hip hop music?
Uh, I mean, I'm biased. So personally, I feel as though like the South is on top just due to the fact of their unity in certain areas. Because even if we go to Florida, we think about Ross and Trick Daddy. You know how he had a hand in bringing all of those people to the forefront. In Texas, like I said, Slim Thug, those guys had a big run, and of course Atlanta. But look at Cash Money. Wayne was the greatest rapper.
Mhm.
For a stretch. He was the best rapper alive. So I feel like the South's been dominating
Yeah.
for a minute. For a minute.
Even the East Coast cats sound like they from the South.
Right,
You know?
right. And that's when it's coming, the influence, has taken over. And it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Because that's where our musical roots started from. So,
Mm.
from the South. We brought jazz from New Orleans to Harlem. So, you know.
Yeah, man. Okay, so now look, a lot of us when we coming up, we wanna we think we can be the next Tupac. We think we can be, you know, we think we had the skills, and then it dawns on us we don't. But then there's brothers like you who realize, you know what, I do have a talent for this. Let me take it, you know, to the next level. So when was that moment where you realized that this is where I wanted, you know, I want to be a professional and all that?
Well, I got put in the studio with an artist. Like first time I like really sat down in the studio. I was at a friend's studio, and he's like, "Man, I need to go out, help him, write this song." I'd always rap and stuff with my friends and clown and stuff, and making beats. But we sat there and like we made a whole project in 2 days,
Mm.
and it was classic, like a very classic. Me and this guy's first time meeting, linking up everything, and he was actually signed to Murder Inc. at the time. He was an R&B singer, and he was just amazed at the process, and he's like, "Why you don't have your own music?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess that's coming in time, and that really, I guess, is when it dawned on me, like, man, what you doing right now?" So yeah, it definitely set in around that time.
Mm. Okay, so let's talk about your process when it comes to creating a song or whatever. Where do you do you draw on personal experiences, or is it just a feeling in that moment? Um, Give us a kind of insight into your process.
I say it's like a collection of all of that. Like whether what I see, day in, day out, talking to friends, what I've experienced, or just, what I've watched. I love to watch like TV shows and stuff like that, like on Netflix and stuff. So it's like I made piece together. I draw inspiration from everywhere, and that all goes into the creative process for me personally, and listening to other music as well.
Mm, okay. Um,
What's the other music?
Uh, I like the other day I was riding in the car listening to Ross's Port of Miami,
mm,
um, stuff like that. Like I'm that type of person who I go check out something that's new, but like I go back and listen to something old or something real indie like Don Tolliver who signed with Travis Scott, stuff like that. I kind of
Mhm.
look for inspiration in the oddest places.
mm,
Okay.
okay. Um, Now, do you write? Do you write to the beat, or do you do have a beat and then you come up with your concept? You know, afterwards.
I'll make the beat and then usually come up with a concept, either listening to the beat, like I name the song something, and it'll put me in a certain mind frame, and then from there just build around it. Like a lot of times I might have the song finished before I finish the beat though. So It just depends.
Now, being a MC who can produce his own tracks, that puts you ahead of the game because you don't have to wait for a producer to give you stuff. So
Right.
talk about not just being an MC but being a beat producer, beat maker. How much that helps and informs what the music that you create.
Well, I think the blessing behind that is the ability to create a sound. Like we have Creation Station Sound. That's my brand, and it sounds like nothing else that's out. And that's due to the fact of one, me producing for other artists and engineering for other artists and seeing what they're making and finding the mistakes of, oh, you should have did this here, you should have did this there. So when it comes time for me to make my music, then that's what I focus on. So I try to make it a little bit different, but a collection to where when you hear it, it doesn't sound foreign, but it's like, all right, yeah, that's well pieced together, you know. So that's the blessing I think of being a producer and that, because it's like if this beat would have had this song would have been out of here, you know what I'm saying, or something different, you know. So that's really the plus on that. Plus, I don't have to wait for anybody to email me anything or get clearance issues or anything of that nature.
Okay. I like it too, and when I was coming up, it was all about sampling, right? Sample, sample, sample. When you go back to the especially the 80s and the early 90s and stuff, they would use like 6 samples to make one song and all that, and then they started getting sued. So then it'd be like one sample,
Right. Yeah.
that. And now it seems like there's a big push to go away from it, and which I like. I like. I mean, I like it both. Do you sample at all?
Yeah, I sample. I live by the 3 second rule. If you chop it within 3 seconds, you won't get hit as bad. But I definitely do still sample currently. That's like I said, I prayed to make beats for like Kanye. So when I heard Jay-Z's Black album and Blueprint, it was like, nah, I gotta make beats like that. And that was all samples. Everything else is cool. I'm a musician, I can play it, but you find that right rare sample, it's nothing like it.
Nice.
Yes. Um, Tomax in the chat room says sampling was feeding a lot of older black artists. That is true.
Mhm.
So many artists got a resurgence based on their sample. And oddly enough, some artists who had current songs that got sampled got a resurgence, or it
Right.
them up. So like I remember De La Soul. De La Soul would sample like these artists that were still making music, but when they would make their song, all of a sudden people were like, "What was this?" And then and it pushed them up the charts. So it's very interesting, the sampling thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the record I have about Heisman campaign, that's the Tatiana Ali sample off of Fresh Prince, the song that she sung when Will was her manager.
You know,
Yeah, so
oh man, I didn't even
Taking
catch
it
it.
back.
yeah, you get what I'm saying. So it's like that's the kind of crate digging we do, something that the average person wouldn't even think about, to even sample. And if
That's like
Tatiana Ali gets some money off me on that song, it's cool. I'm not tripping.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's cool. Heisman campaign. First of all, a great title. Are you a big sports guy?
Yeah, I'm a huge sports fan.
Okay, so uh, talk about the idea behind Heisman campaign and why you called it that.
Basically, when you listen to the lyrics of the song, I basically looked at it as if it was my Heisman speech. If I
mm,
won the trophy and I was standing at the podium, like this would be my Heisman speech. But the irony of it is, I named the track probably like 2 days before I dropped it because I just sit there and listen. And I was like, "What's the inspiration for this name?" And Heisman campaign came to me, and it was like, "Yeah, this is definitely what it is."
that's dope. Are we gonna listen to these, Kente?
Yeah, we can definitely if it's okay, we can definitely play a song. You cool with that?
Oh yeah, of course,
All
of
right.
course.
Which track do you want me to play?
I guess you could go with since we're talking about Heisman campaign, let's go with that one first.
All right.
Good job, because that's what I wanted to hear.
So we're gonna play Heisman campaign. Here we go.
All right.
Just fucking with you, A, man. Yes, you probably have a whole chain of cleaners in a hot minute anyway. You know?
My bad.
Creations, can't remember you, I guess some things I can't recall. I remember when we made a pact of biscuit I remember you were hesitant to get involved. I remember when we ran it up and spent it out. I remember getting it on my own, me and my dogs. Got right at the crib and then we down and lost it all. Bounce back in a week, you probably thought that we fall off. But look at where we are. Yeah. But look at where we are. Look at where we are. But look at where we are. Look at where we are. Hold up. Like a phoenix from the ashes, I rise through distractions. Cut a couple niggas off, just simple mathematics. Trying to shine before you grind, you got it ass backwards. You know you finally moving forward when you get some traction. 2017 highs when I feel like Action Jackson. Give me the ball, I'm running with it, no way that I'm passing. Like no way that I'm passing. I wish I had this type of focus when I was late for class. A wise man look forward, it's like the new year. Narrow road to the top, Hollywood ain't know what to do there. Been over the hill, I don't expect this shit get too fair. Yeah. Sunbathing on stoners all the while soaking up all this knowledge flow, even sounding more polished. I guess the shit came from college. We respected in the streets, we respected by all the scholars. Make strippers dance to my music while niggas tossing these dollars long. We came a long way from that country town. He BC after the game, I bet it's going down. You gave that whole the world in turn, you got the run around. And then you got the nerve to try and gun me down. Straightforward and direct is how I'm coming now. We hit a step on all toes, we on the winner now. Yeah, we hit a step on our toes, this hit a winner sound. Can't remember you, I guess some things I can't recall. I remember when we made a pact of biscuit I remember you were hesitant to get involved. I remember when we ran it up and spent it out. I remember getting it on my own, me and my dogs. Got right at the crib and then we down and lost it all. Bounced back in the week, you probably thought that we fall out. But look at where we are. Yeah. But look at where we are. Look at where we are. But look at where we are. Look at where we are. No matter whether climbing, we're climbing the highest mountain. I climb it in record time, and I'm chosen. This is a reminder. Hit Conway just for a line, and my mama know that I got it. My father know that I got it. The city know that I got it. What up? Go ahead, show some love, nigga. And striving for greatness is like a drug, nigga. You ain't with the shit, so miss me with the bitches shit. I'm on point like I scripted it. The flow crack when she flip the shit. If you ain't talking 7 figures, I just can't get with the shit. Started from the gutter, got the whole world listening. Yeah, it's like we started from the gutter, got the whole world. Look, this hit'll come up, this hitter shit you can't front on. You know we keep it 100, you know we keep it 100, nigga. This hitter shit you can't front on, nigga.
Man, that was dope, man. That was dope. I love it.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
You know, one thing I like about it is it does, you know, it's lyrics, right? Lyrics. And it's not just you like, you know, just saying the same thing over and over and over again. You know how, what I'm talking about. And you know, so you got the lyrical content and it sounds fresh and new too. So it, you know, it's not like, you know, because even though like I'm a big 90s hip hop fan, you know, some of those cats, unfortunately, you don't want to hear, you know, hear them now, right?
Right.
But you know, I love it, man. I love how you know, you have that feel, like it seems like you kind of reach back to the past, but giving some new too. Is that what you were going for?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, the influences as far as the sound and this and that, it comes from everywhere. Like I love Andre three Stacks. You know, his ability to get points across within the song, and for those who listen and they hear it, for those who are not, it goes over their head, so it's like that whole like ambience of creating, a sound is like what I try to put into the music.
Man, it's dope, man. Now performing live, is that something you enjoy? Are you more of a studio guy?
I love the studio. Like the studio is home. Like I feel like that's one of the most comfortable places I can be, in the studio. But performing live, like to get to see people's reactions, in live time to the music, like sitting here watching you guys bob your head to the record. It's like it's no greater confirmation than somebody hearing it for the first time, and it's like, all right, bro, I see you. I don't know who you are yet, but I see you. So it's like the live part is dope as well.
Yeah. Do you feed off that? I know you must feed off that energy of the crowd, right?
Definitely. Music takes me to a place, so it already takes me to a zone, and then to see other people, go to that place with me, I guess it's kind of like a natural high, if I had to say.
Love it, man. So with the Heisman campaign, have you done any videos for it?
We're working on a visual for Heisman campaign. It's coming soon. Yeah.
Oh, that's dope, man. Looking forward to that, man. So what's next, man? What do you have? I know you have the big timers join out as well. What can we expect next coming from you?
Next, I have actually like a whole flip, like it's a whole different like wave of a sound. It's actually coming next. It has like this R&B rapish type vibe to it, and it's more so like that. It's music before you go out, So we call it like music before the party, So it's like that's the type vibe that's actually coming next, and that's produced by my partner in crime, Dre Love. Majority of those are produced by him, mixed in with me. We co-produced a couple of tracks, and it's really, I think, something that everybody's gonna like. I can't wait for everybody to hear it, to be honest, because that's what's next. And I think it'll definitely, be something that people can appreciate and enjoy.
One thing I like about you, man, is that you can see the joy in in because a lot of people, they be acting like Jason, they, coming out. It's like I like that. You see the joy. Like hip hop is a joyful thing, right? Music is a joyful thing, and I like that, man. I like that energy that you bring in, man. So
appreciate that, man. Definitely.
Yeah, man. So one thing I definitely want to know is now where do you record at? Do you have like a home studio? Do you go?
So basically, I record in two places. Whether it's in Baton Rouge or I go back home. Majority of the time, like I'm recording my music back home in DeRidder, Louisiana. Just because it gives me this vibe of I gotta get out of here, even though I'm not there. It's like it gives me that vibe of like that hunger again, So it's like I enjoy recording back home. So majority of my recent stuff has been there.
Okay. And collaborations. Do you collaborate with a lot of different hip hop artists?
Yeah, I have a few artists that I collab with, whether it's a few guys from our area who I've worked with, an artist named Dave Stokes, linked up with guys on the East Coast, West Coast. So I've had the opportunity, to collab with a couple of artists.
One thing I like about Heisman campaign is like, okay, I love collaborations, but I don't like it too. Because a lot of times, like an artist you really like, it's like you want to hear them, their voice, and sometimes I think there's this over collab thing happens where it's like, okay, oh, you got Too Short, oh, you got, it's a great list, but then it's like, where you at,
Right.
And I like Heisman campaign. It's like this is you for it. I like that, man, and I like the whole motif of it as well. Heisman campaign. So
appreciate it, man.
Dope, man. All right, so when's the next time we get to see you live?
Live, we're working on something, trying to do LA, something in LA, an unplugged setup. So we actually working on that next. And I have a couple offers for the Texas area, the Houston area. So we actually setting up everything for 2019, just so everything is in order. The campaign actually, is the domino effect pretty much, So that's what's coming next.
All right, when you're here in LA, let me know because I'll come out and I'll bring some folks with me.
Okay.
Well, man, because I always like to support, man. I definitely love to support artists. Yeah.
I definitely keep you in tune, man, and we're gonna give you a show.
All right. I like that, man, because I ain't gonna say any names, but there's some artists that you see them live and you like, man, I could have stayed at home.
Right.
So I like,
Yeah. I've
Yep.
definitely been there.
it's like, man, I could have just listened, to the record. I like that though, that you're putting all that energy in there. So all right. So once again, so how can people get your music? Tell us your website, your social media and such.
Okay, so basically, you can find all of my records if you don't have a streaming service on SoundCloud under B. Holmes Creation Station. You can find me there as well as on Instagram. I'm B._Holmes. If you want to go check out, I post all my latest releases and where they can be found as well. And anything else, like I say, you keep up with those two, and that's where we try to stay current, mostly on that.
Okay, so you're not on Twitter or Instagram or nothing?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. Instagram is B._Holmes.
Oh, okay. Because I was trying to find you on there, and I was like, so it's the underscore that threw it off. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll add that into the show notes so that people can make sure they give you a follow.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Good.
make it
Appreciate it.
difficult for people to find you.
Right. It's gonna be impossible.
All right. So Shannon, how can people get you social media, all that goodness?
Well, it's past my bedtime, so most of y'all will not get me. But during normal business hours, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Shannon Ford, like the president, -Jefferson, like the president. And that's it.
All right. And you can get me on Twitter at KenteF. That's KINTEF. On Instagram, it's my full name, Kente Ferguson. That's KINTEFERGERSON. And of course, you can go to our website where all of our content is at, and that's indyradio.org. That's INDY radio.org. All right. So we will be back on Indie Radio next Monday with an all new episode of Men and Women Talk, the Mars Venus Show. So you'll see me and Shannon once again. And so you guys have a great rest of your week and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.